it, the Crazed G1 special. And the G1 is what we're here for. But, I mean, it is the crazy world of wrestling.
That's right.
Of course, I'm here with Chris Colvin, and we have a new member to the fold here, a guy that if you follow me on Twitter or Substack, I pretty much glaze this guy constantly, and that is Dean Marlowe.
Corey and Chris, so excited to be here and talk about the Climax with you guys.
Fuck yeah, we're climaxing. Here we go. We before we started recording, we were talking about deathmatch shit. I think that's the perfect way to ease yourself into some G1.
That's right.
Was there any blood in the G1? I don't think there was.
No, but there was a lot of fucking. No, but it was very ECW coded in terms of, the refs saw some cheating or some weaponry. Who gives a shit,
I think the most blood might have come from Yudo Ice's chest in the Suji match.
Yes.
Oh my God, that was insanity.
Yeah. That was incredible.
So good.
I'm curious, before we get into G1 36 thoughts, what are your guys' G1 backgrounds? Do you remember the first one you saw? Do you have how many G1s in are you?
Oh man, so
there you go.
I'm probably 2016 was the first one that I really started paying attention. That I think it was 2016. I may have dipped in 2015, just listening to Voices of Wrestling and being like, okay, I got to check this out. But 2016 is where I got real serious with it.
Yeah, and for me, probably 2016 when I finally really covered it seriously and really cared about it and understood the whole gravitas of it. But I knew of it for whatever reason. I want to say 2008 G1 got a lot of play online, a lot more than maybe usual. And I don't even know what the hell happened there, but I just remember it was 2008. I remember Muto was around. I know Tanahashi was kind of in his beginnings of being the ace, kind of undeniably so. And that might have been the one Goto one.
It was, and that could be.
Yeah, that would have been.
Was that a Shelton Benjamin year? He was in randomly some of those.
I think so.
Late aughts as Shelton X Benjamin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I don't really think it was accessible in a meaningful way before 2015, 2016. So I started watching regularly around that time when kind of everybody started watching, as Omega Okada and New Japan was actually something you could get. And yeah, I mean, for years before I was aware of it, I am old. So at first through magazines and later through, boards and stuff, but it didn't really mean anything to me. I mean, these were people who I literally could not see, had no sense of what their characters or personalities were from a country I don't speak the language. So, it was, to me, it might as well have been the tournament on Mars. But dedicated watcher. And I think at this point, I've seen matches from every G1. I certainly have not watched every match from every G1, but I'm familiar with with all 36.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I am definitely not on that level. And honestly, the 08, I was so disconnected in 2008 that I've not seen anything from that one.
Oh man,
it's I mean, listen, every Goto performance is worth watching, as we will talk about on this pod of my obsession with the leader of my Revolutionary Army. And I reviewed a Goto Tanahashi match for my Substack, and from around this era, 2007 2008, it was when Tanahashi was a heel, which didn't work well at all.
Yeah.
And Goto's the exact same guy. He looks the same. There is no difference in presentation. He does not do any newer or lesser moves. It's just phenomenal. He's giving you the whole thing the whole time, and it's really wonderful.
That's probably why it seems very memorable. Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember now. I love it because of that final. It's Goto and Makabe, and man, I was a big Togi Makabe guy back in the day. And great showing from him. I mean, here's the field from 2008, by the way. It's Tana, Shinjiro Hotani. You got Kojima in there. Here's a blast from the past. Wataru Inoue.
Oh wow.
Giant Bernard. Who else we got? Manabu Nakanishi, of course. It couldn't be the 2000s New Japan pre-boom without some Nakanishi involved. And that's it. Yeah.
I love Satoshi Kojima. I did not watch the Tenzin match yet. It's on the list to go back to. But I heard it's wonderful, and I will watch that guy fight mid-card MLW matches and enjoy it.
Dude, absolutely. I want to see him give LeBron Cazone every bit of his aura. Here's the other block, by the way, real quick. It's the Goto, of course, won it. Nagata, Nakamura, baby Nakamura, Kawada, Yutaka Yushie, who passed away not too long ago, Yano, pre-joke, and then let's see here, Tenzan. You can't beat that. That's a hell of a year. So yeah, I just remember 2008 really sticking out. But yeah,
that is unbelievable. Is there? Either you guys watch much Giant Bernard? He's like a name from Aughts New Japan that I'm like, if I don't need to watch this match for some kind of narrative, I've never really seen the guy, and I have no real interest in watching him.
I'm absolutely the same way. I am not a Giant Bernard guy at all.
Yeah. I think the most that I've ever respected him was when he was doing the job to Tanahashi for the vacant belt around this era that we're discussing of like 2007 or 2008 when Lesnar said, "See ya."
So I'm less of a Giant Bernard guy, but I am such a Lord Tenzai guy.
Oh, absolutely. I was in college when that hit, and that was like a whole happening.
Yes, it was. It was bizarre. Yes.
Like us convincing ourselves that he should beat Cena for the title. Unbelievable. Yes. Come on.
It's one of those things that it's a good reminder that we're just all marks, man. Because I'm like, can't he? He might.
Yeah, it could happen.
Come on. Like Ace Austin tomorrow should have the title. That kind of shit.
Like,
I don't know, man.
And I talked myself into it. Like I was watching Dynamite last week, and I was like, "Wouldn't it be wild if Jack Perry beat Mox in the first round?" Yeah. And I was like, "I don't know. He's looking strong out there."
Yeah, it's like everyone's going, "Yeah, Nigel's foot is fucked," but hey, what if he just wins it? And we're like, "All right, maybe probably not gonna happen." But
I don't know, man. He's back. He's going.
Man,
they've got to go somewhere with that Continental story. So I don't know.
I hope so. If this fucking G1 is any sort of blueprint, my God, even be half as good, and I'll be happy.
Yeah,
and that's what we can hope.
Absolutely. So speaking of fields, what did you guys when you saw this year's field released? Happy, sad? Anyone you were annoyed wasn't on there?
So the who I was annoyed was on there. You're not going to like Dean, but I was pretty annoyed that Jake Lee was on there.
Fair enough. Most people hate him.
Yep. And after the G1, pretty annoyed that the Great Okan was on there. But I think other than that I was thrilled with the lineup and excited to see what it could bring. It definitely delivered.
Yeah. Same, the only thing that I was shocked by was there wasn't more AEW representation, but in hindsight, I'm glad there was not with what they were doing. And Takeshita is enough of that. And then obviously Gabe Kidd technically being considered AEW, which I think really was a great story throughout the whole thing where he just hates the global title. He is just Naitoing everything. I love that. I loved it when it happened the first time. I don't think it's a bad example of recycling something if it works. Yeah, I think that it's weird because this may be more than any G1 in history, though. To be really honest, when I did see it on paper, I didn't expect what we got. I was kind of like, okay, it's kind of like almost a par for the course announcement when they did it, because it's like, okay, it's just everyone we expected and no real surprise here. I think that worked out though, because then kind of the story of this tournament becomes who's going to lead the pack when we're done here. It isn't about it's a story of the young guys. The thing is that it is which young guy comes out of this on top. And I think that helped it a lot. Whereas if you would have had Noah guys or like All Japan guys or whoever, it probably would have just been like, okay, we can't really do that now.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with what both of you guys said. Initially disappointing. After the year they gave us Eddie Kingston, I come into these things thinking to myself all the time, what if they throw Shinya Aoki in this thing? Or Wheeler Yuta's going to be in it. And then you get this list, which is the most kind of on brand. But then, like you said, when you started to watch it, it quickly revealed itself to be something. It's like, oh, this has to be interesting, because you kind of assume Tsuji can't win. Tsuji's the only person that they really could claim they have like a big consensus push behind. So like someone has to win this, and nobody winning this thing. There's nobody on this list who could win it, and it wouldn't be kind of interesting. Whereas, last year with Takeshita, I guess slightly, interesting that he won, being guys in 3 different companies, but it kind of felt like he was going to. And the same with Zach the year before. Like halfway through the tournament, you kind of tell it was going his way. And we were really pretty deep into the blocks. I mean, we're into the finals. I have no idea who's going to win this tournament. And whoever they do pick says something, and that thing's going to be interesting. And it turned out they picked phenomenally at every possible point.
It felt so refreshing this year, like you say, Dean, once we got into the middle of the tournament, and it wasn't you couldn't draw a straight line to anybody. And that was like, hell, at one point I thought Drilla Maloney had a real chance.
100%. Yeah.
And it wouldn't have surprised me at all, just the way that they were booking the tournament. But the beats were all there when you look back. Now you kind of see how they planned this tournament and how they paced it was perfection. Perfection.
What did you guys think about, Aaron Wolf? I think we kind of assumed to be in there. I have very mixed feelings on him, but they're clearly picking the guy. Oscar and Yuto Ice felt very early to me that it felt early to take the belts off them with how hot they were. It felt very just not normal wrestling booking to take a tag team that's like a year in and immediately break them into singles in your premier tournament. So curious if you thought those guys that was a good idea or a bad idea. And I think they all worked out, do you guys think they played well?
So for me, I think throwing Oscar and Ice into the deep end of the pool was a great decision, because I think it paid off. And as far as like, who is the other one you mentioned, Aaron Wolf? Of the 3, he's the one I was least impressed with, and he has the best pedigree. But for me, it's like, I just don't see it with him. I'm just not seeing it.
Aaron Wolf, and his last 2 matches, I came around on him, and maybe it was just because I was so G1 pilled from watching every single one of these things.
Yeah.
But he just can't wrestle. Like Aaron Wolf is like, oh, this is why we have a dojo, and this is why we have excursions, and this is why you have your first match at the Tokyo Dome. Like you really can't do many of the moves. When he does the judo throws, they look great. That's what he knows how to do. When he tries to do anything else, he tries to sell. He just doesn't perform. He performs like guys in wrestling for 6 months. And there was that spot where the Canadian Destroyer, where everybody's like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. I'm like, he shouldn't be able to do that. It's not that the move. And he's a pro wrestler in the G1. Like that is not a huge accomplishment for him.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it and I think in terms of the original question, it definitely did work. And I think that I look at Oscar and Yuto Ice, and I almost look at it, and it's going to sound strange and almost too much, but I just mean structurally. I look at them almost like as possibly the Funks were in Japan, where I think you're going to get to a point where they are great by themselves. Because man, let me tell you, Oscar might have been my biggest revelation in terms of like, oh fuck, this guy's a fully formed badass guy, to the point that my wife was like, is that Oscar from like WXW? I went, yeah. And she went, whoa, like he looks way cooler just standing out being himself. And it's almost like because of him not being next to the Tasmanian devil from the hood, basically, which is what Yuta Ice's gimmick really is at the end of the day. But they also can come together and be a dynamic tag team. So I think that that's maybe the thinking with New Japan. As for Aaron Wolf, I can't think of a worse beginning of a G1 than the one he had with Hanare in, what was it, Chicago. That was trash. That was terrible. And I remember telling you guys, like, what is going on here? And initially, it's funny because everyone blamed Hanare. And I remember very early being like, no, this is an Aaron Wolf problem. And furthermore, I think going back to WXW, I think they should have just taken him somewhere like that for a year, like they are with Murashima, and you're seeing it benefit him and Coda in or Kato in Mexico. That's the move.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Corey, I'm curious because I'm a very irregular watcher and a non-watcher at the time. What were these two like in WXW? How much have they grown? What's the growth you've seen from them?
So I haven't seen like everything that they've done over there, but a lot of it is really what you see now is what they were doing. And I like it too, because even very early on, they were two wholes that came together rather as just this package that's left in and of itself and is never anything when you break them apart. They also lucked out and wrestled like the best wrestlers that they have, like all of the ones that, Axel Tischer and Muto. And, I'm trying to think, they might have even had a match with like Aussie Open at one point very early on. And yeah, they just like threw them to the wolves, but that's what WXW does. And what I really liked about it is they allowed them to like slowly evolve the character. I think Yudo Ice is probably the biggest change because early on he was very quiet. Because with him being in Germany, it's like that's like now third language removed for him. He has no way to relate to you. So he was kind of like the silent killer. And Oscar was actually the charismatic one early on because he knows German and everything. And he is. But then as time went on and you could see Yuta get like in his self with the character, and then it just like became a whole thing. And I think that New Japan was very smart. And when they pulled them, I don't even think it had reached maximum potential over there. And they pulled them, and then they got to reach maximum potential in New Japan. So it ended up being a great way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, they were phenomenal. Ice, a lot of guys in this tournament pulled off doing one thing cool. Like, obviously, Oiwa does a lot of things, but it's essentially a headlock. And Yudo basically just kicks people. He doesn't make it over and over and over again. And he's got a lot of aura when he does it, and then he dances around. And it worked. Like, I was never at any point was I bored in one of his matches. And he was a person that every single block night, whoever he was matched up against, I think it's going to be a fun match. The only thing, interestingly, I didn't like about Oscar was him being on commentary, solely because I was like, holy shit, man, they're presenting this guy like the Undertaker. This is amazing. He's so like scary and badass. And then he was kind of like a silly, fun guy with Walker on commentary. Like, you're kind of killing the gimmick here.
Same thing with Hanare, by the way, on commentary. He's this big, mean, like fucking, Maori guy. And then like he's on commentary, like busting balls. It's just kind of like, I didn't really want him to be my like buddy Gabe, man. I kind of wanted him to be like this silent killer more than anything, but thanks, I guess.
What do you guys think when we think about Hanare? What do you think about commentary playing up the thickness of his skull?
I mean, he's clearly fine with it, but
absolutely, it pops me every time. I'm like, oh my God, are you serious? We're doing this.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I assume Hanare's fine with it, so I'm fine with it. Because so much of his presentation is like, if Vince McMahon created this character, he'd be like an Italian guy. And it's so horrible. But I'm like, I don't know. He's the guy for all the Oceania shows. They seem to like respect him, and as a draw in New Zealand, he's got a ton of belts. So I'm just like, I think you like this, so I'm okay with it. But otherwise, this is a bit of a thing, down to like the fact that your skull is so thick.
Jesus,
man. It's such a throwback for me.
I know.
Oh yeah.
On people that almost everyone but me hated. Tell me your Jake Lee and Great O'Khan thoughts.
Well, for me, I am so conflicted with Jake Lee because I loved him in All Japan. He was my favorite guy. I was one of the guys screaming, he needs to be the ace, not Kento. That I was that much Jake Lee Kool-Aid drinker. And then he goes to New Japan, or we went to Noah first. Loved the Noah stuff when he was there a little bit. I was very much the high opinion on that. A lot of people didn't like it. I loved it. Then he went to New Japan, obviously had the awful injury, and now like with the clown thing, I was even fine. I will say it seems like he's definitely got a long way to go in terms of being where I remember him and all that. Maybe we never get there. It was a bad injury. But I think he's a serviceable mid-card guy that can get you a good match. That's what I think of Jake Lee.
Chris?
I think with Jake Lee, that's being generous at this point. He exudes like go away heat for me. Like I just cannot.
Yeah.
I just can't stand him. Like when I see he's booked in a match, I'm going to watch maybe, but I'm not going to give it a whole lot of time because it's the same thing every match. That match with Okan was an absolute joke.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Yeah, and I don't know, Dean. What were your thoughts on that match?
Well, Jake Lee overall, I do kind of agree. I don't really care for Jake Lee that much. I liked him well enough. Also in All Japan, from what I saw, I kind of see why he's not doing that here. There's no the space for that character is what every kind of no character New Japan guy is. So he's doing something. But he came out, I believe, at the Dome, Suji's first calendar, and I was like, this is a choice with Jake Lee. Like, why the hell is this guy coming out here? I think the reason I liked him in the G1 is. I felt like there was some story going on there around the clown character, where he would present differently every time he came out. You never quite knew what you were getting into, and there weren't really clear rules to it. Like sometimes he would come out and he would be dressed in his Noah gear and he would wrestle a straight match for the most part. Sometimes he'd come out dressed like a clown and still wrestle a straight match or vice versa. And to me, it's it is tough. It's a tonal shift, right? That's the hardest thing about the heel stuff in New Japan is you get these like beautiful, pure epics, and then there's a guy handcuffing a guy, something, and you're like, well, this feels weird. But to me, he just felt like, oh, we got to break this thing up. We can't have 6 matches every night where it's 2 guys grappling and Jake Lee coming out and sitting in the stands and putting lipstick on Suji, worked for me. And as far as the match with Grado, yeah, it was horrible. It was not a good match. I mean, I agree. I didn't care for Grado at all in this G1. I kind of agree with everybody. And my reason mostly for hating that was just that he's just such a good wrestler. I mean, I'm not mad at Grado. They clearly booked him to do this. And he did as good of a heel shtick as he could have. But I think it was 2 years ago, his gimmick was, I'm going to wrestle every wrestler in their style. And I was like, this is the coolest shit I've ever seen. And he was so good at it. And I've actually always thought he was kind of like an underrated guy on the roster. And it was a shame that, the year of his prominence was because people just despised what he was doing. And Chris, me and you talked about this a little bit, but, the G1 cheating was very bad. I don't know what their thought process was. I'm a House of Torture fan, and I'm a House of Torture fan because they cheat in a way that makes logical sense. Like it might be ridiculous, but they do distract the ref. There's always something going on there. And I just didn't understand what I was supposed to believe with Grado Khan, nailing people with chair shots in front of the ref. Like how many times did Walker say, oh, the ref's got a long leash because it's the G1. And at the point somebody did get disqualified, I was like, why now?
Yeah.
So, I think Joe Lanza from Voices of Wrestling is a great authority on the history of New Japan, and he called that match the worst match in the history of the promotion.
I love Joe.
I don't know if that's true, but if it is, that's incredible. It was a terrible match, but I don't know. I don't know enough New Japan history to know if it's the worst in the history of the promotion. But he stands, 10 toes down on that.
Chris, for you guys, was it the wrestling or the booking? Like, did you not like the way they performed? Did you just not like the fact they were doing cheesy heel shit?
I hated. That's what I hated.
Yeah, same.
In the G1, like again. Watching it in 2016 compared to 2026, you probably shouldn't compare the two, right? But my mind still does go there of, all the greatness of the tournament. And I feel that this year the tournament got damn close to getting back there in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But some of this heel stuff just drove me nuts. But I also know that in 2016, every night was not perfect either.
True.
Yeah, there's plenty of bad luck Fale matches that people don't remember when they talk about
Taichi.
The glory of some of these older G1s. And
we do get selective, don't we? I get it.
The whole memory aspect of it is so interesting because the day of the final, everybody was like, well, this is the greatest wrestling match I've ever seen on the greatest show ever produced. And I was like, this was good. But I'm curious to see what you guys are saying in 5 years. And some of that will be affected by how these guys' careers go. But it was excellent. It was probably my match of the year. But I certainly wasn't, going to frame the thing like it was the Terry Funk I Quit match against Flair or something.
Right. That final... I don't know where it's going to fall in my match of the year list, but that was such what feels like a transcendent moment for the promotion as a whole, and where they've come from. COVID just really screwed them up, and then of course AEW signing just about their entire top end of their roster, that really has hurt them. And I'm just so glad that they've made the decision to go this route and give these young guys the opportunity that that's what they're there for. It's time.
Yeah.
I was just so glad that Shingo wasn't in the semifinals, that even Goto, those guys, that they were out of it.
Yeah. And I think too, it spoke to something that New Japan's doing that very few places are doing. And I'm thinking about the finals, and it's definitely in my top 5 matches of the year so far. Again, I know I'm very biased, but it's going to be hard for anything to beat Ahura and Ilya Bloom from the other day for me personally, with all the history there. But that's also, me fully admitting that I'm a, WXW fanboy, but
that match was incredible.
This does feel like something that New Japan has always, really since AEW started, neglected to do, which is really truly create a next star, not somebody from because again, Kota Ibushi doesn't count. He's from DDT. Even Omega to some degree, DDT. We're talking a guy. I mean, Jay White's probably the last guy that I would say, in my opinion, I don't think Dave Finley's on that level. Sorry, some people might think that's insane, but the last star that was a young lion that they really went with was Jay White. And obviously they were correct in doing so. They did it here as well.
So here's my question to you guys. It seems so obvious now, although obviously I was not cheering for both of these guys most of the tournament, but I wisened up. Why wasn't this Shota Umino versus Ren Narita 3 years ago? Why did it take them this? They had the Musketeers, they had the guys, they gave them a super weird booking. What do you think? Why do you think it didn't happen then with the same kind of age group guys, and why is it happening now?
Well, Okada was still there 3 years ago, right?
Yeah. Yeah. 2 years ago. Yeah.
And that's part of it. They don't have an Okada today. And that probably plays into that decision. And I also kind of speaking to that as far as like Umino and Ren Narita, do you feel like they connect with the audience the way that Yuya Uemura and Owie would do?
No.
I mean, that being said, if Shota had gotten a normal push right away, maybe, but he's had such a weird yo-yo that he's kind of become like a bit of a joke, and Narita got like an extremely big character change. No, they didn't. And honestly, some of this is luck. I think we've all heard that they were gonna have Shooter win this thing, and then it changed when he got hurt. I don't know if it's true or not. But you could write a textbook on Yuya and Oiwa. I mean, it was just like from Young Lion to Excursion to a year of kind of bumping around to the G1. And it's a real testament to exposure, right? Like, I did not like either of these guys. Then I watched all of their matches, and I was like, wait a minute, I do like them. They're great. It took me a minute to get there. And, they just never got to that place with the other ones, either because they didn't let their characters grow, or people got hurt, or AEW stuff happened, but it's, no, I don't think they connect in any, I've never felt any kind of big emotion towards either of them, except for Narita sometimes when I'm like, the troll in me is like, this is great.
Right. That's usually when I like Narita best, but I'll make a weird comparison, and it'll be actually the reverse of what New Japan's doing. It's very much similar to the way that Dragon Gate has been doing business. And what I mean by that is they have been so publicly non-youth movement for so long that you've now alienated your whole roster. Dragon Dai is gone. We don't know if he'll ever wrestle again because of just being burnt out and being overworked and underpaid. Shun Skywalker said peace. He shows up. What was it? The semifinal night is his when he shows up.
Yeah.
And he's like, basically, we're already like, he's going to be the leader of House of Torture. Like he's basically already there. Right.
So like at Destruction of Kobe.
Yeah. I mean, in one night, they figured it out more than Dragon Gate has been able to figure it out in the last like year plus. And it's exactly what New Japan's not doing. And I appreciate it because they went that route, right? Like we got the Goto title run and everyone, it was like, man, this is so beautiful. But then they knew like, let's not milk this. Let's not, he obviously got hurt as well. That didn't help. But like, I don't think he would have had like a monster run with it necessarily either. I don't know that helps his character, even if he did. And they went with Zack Sabre Jr. again. And we thought, okay, like they're kind of playing it safe. Little do we know. I think that was kind of, let's get it on Tsuji. Let's make that sort of seem like he's the guy. And I'll say it right now. I don't know that they think that Tsuji's the guy. And obviously I would say that the G1 booking shows that, but I don't think it's a bad thing either. I think they know he's valuable, and he is over. I think they're in a dangerous spot like they were with Shota, though, where they might just be fucking with him too much.
Yeah.
You guys think about it overall. I struggle with him as someone I don't really enjoy.
I like that he is a dynamic, he's dynamic, right? Like I think the best of Tsuji is late in a match when he shows that fire and he does an explosive move. What I don't like about Tsuji is early in a match, it doesn't seem like he has that will to win. It's almost like what they used to say about Greg Valentine. Like you gotta like beat the shit out of him to get Greg Valentine out. I think Tsuji has a little of that going on, and I don't know that it helps him in modern day.
Yeah, I've not been very impressed with him as far as being the face of the promotion, being the champion, outside of his his allegiance and devotion to the promotion. I really do like that storyline, and the fact that he is so strongly in favor of New Japan. I do like that. But as far as like he is as an idea and as the face of the promotion, I'm not a big fan of it. I think that he was probably the best choice. But is it possible that what happened on Sunday was part of a very long-term, deliberate, intentional booking.
I think so.
In terms of,
I mean, is it possible that Umino, no matter what happened to Shooter, this was going to be the? I mean, Oiwa kind of played himself into this tournament, right?
yeah, he beat ELD to get in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, is this possible that this was the long-term story to begin with? And if it is, my hat's off. Just unbelievable, great storytelling. But I'm just curious I hope in the long run we find out, that this was the goal or not the goal. Because a lot of people, it's very easy to just say, well, Shota was supposed to win it. And this was the way that they booked it, to kind of make up for that. But is it? I don't know. I tend to think, there's part of me that tends to think that this was intentional.
I don't disagree at all. And, listen, I came into this saying that Shooter's going to win. And I said the exact same thing the last 2 years, right? Like, he's the kind of bland, babyface ace in the making, and they're going to make him win the G1. And there was no difference between this year and the last 2 years where they didn't pick him to win. So I don't know why, I was necessarily so sure that he would be. So, yeah, I agree. And I tend to defer to assuming people did a good job, and you're right. Maybe, Gato completely fumbled his way into this, but I like to believe he didn't. That's more fun for me.
When you think of the way that he's booked, he books so and he tells stories at a snail's pace. So it's entirely possible.
The thing about Suji, everything you guys said, I don't really care for him. I don't find him that interesting. I do agree he's hot at the end of matches. But then I looked and I was making like a favorite matches list, and he was in like all of them.
Yeah, man.
Suji versus Bolton, Suji versus Goto, Suji versus Yuya. Like there was like 4 or 5 matches. Like, this is the greatest match I've ever seen. And I didn't like I say I didn't like anything, but it's kind of the way that I used to tell people, oh, I don't like Bret Hart. Bret Hart's boring. But he was also making all the matches good for the guys I did like. And I just didn't realize it at the time.
Yeah, man. He is very British in that way too. I think he's going to settle in as a really strong mechanical wrestler that will get a great match out of you. It's really just going to be if he can find his charisma, like what makes you interesting as a character, because it's not what it is now. Let's be real. The fedora duster guy, that's not cool to me, man. I'm not 8 anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's not your demo. So I don't know.
I agree. It's also one of those things that, it says so much about how far charisma gets you. Because there are wrestlers who could roll out there in a fedora and a hat and they fuck yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But he comes out there and he's kind of, I never know what he's, maybe it's a problem on me, but I can never interpret what is happening with him. I don't know when he's angry or sad. I don't know when he's hyped up. Like, I never know why exactly he's smiling. And to some degree, it just takes away the ability to connect with him emotionally.
Well, if you remember, he came in, that smile was something that he used to create sort of a mystery behind, what was he going to do in LIJ? Like that was the thought that he was kind of a snake, right? So he's used that smile. I'm with you, Dean. I don't have any idea what the hell it means. Why is he smiling? Who knows?
2 other things to ask you guys about Suji. One is, and I said this to you guys in advance and we thought about it. Traditional booking would indicate you can't let the champ get pinned ever. And if he does, there has to be some mitigating factor. And Suji took, I don't know, at least 4, maybe 5 middle of the ring pins. Do you think that is a bad idea? Does that make him seem weak to you as a champion? What's your opinion on the booking norms and how this differed from those?
Well, I think it's weird. I think traditionally it's a bad move. I think it's just kind of common sense. Like, if you want to go with him, I do think it works when you don't want to go with him. And I think that's why this isn't an issue. I think it's kind of clear that they went with Tsuji. They let him reintroduce the old title. They obviously gave it what they could give it, but I think they're looking at Oiwa specifically. I think Yuya as well. In fact, I think that people shouldn't look at this as Oiwa is the hands down decided favorite here either. I think it's as neck and neck as it was before the match. I think that they want you to keep invested here. I think Shota's going to play into that. I think they're going to basically try to play this with 3 possible people to beat Tsuji. And I think that's the purpose right now. Is it's not about if Tsuji loses the title, who's going to beat him. So Oiwa has this coming up October is when he wants to do it, like Zack Sabre Jr. But my thing about New Japan is you can't just go with what they've done before. That doesn't mean we don't still end up with a January 4th match between those two. Or it's Oiwa Shota. Or it's Oiwa Yuya again with the title now.
You're not even talking about the last champion, the very over Callum Newman, who also
Callum Newman is going to be a factor in
There's
this.
no way he's not in the hunt as the guy who had the belt last and was in the semis. You know, he's one of the final 4.
Absolutely.
The other thing I keep, sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I just think that the booking, to me, it paints a picture of an obvious downcycling for Tsuji.
Mm. Yeah, I agree.
I'd just be surprised if they keep the belt on him past October.
If anything, you know, it was almost like somewhat of a respectful booking. They let him be in all the good matches, and they still made, you know, it's not like nobody came out of this and was like, Yota Tsuji sucks as a wrestler. You know, I think that we all said this guy is not the future of the company, and they made him lose a bunch, but at least they kind of put him out there and certainly had some good performances. The other thing, the thing that baffles me, I'm a huge fan of the concept of the factions and the units. You know, so sad when Bullet Club finally got absorbed into Unbound Company, which to me is nothing. Unbound Company appears to just be more Hantai.
I agree.
He's their leader, and this was like a pretty factiony, you know, a TMDK guy won, although they're a little light on story, but, you know, United Empire and House of Torture, every match any of those members were in were also about the unit. And at this point, I could not tell you who's in Unbound Company, but they spent no time using that. Like they never, like, I forget the Knockout Brothers are both in it. At no point did Tsuji come out with Yuta Weiss to help him or something. Like it was very odd.
Yeah, I just made a note on Unbound Company. Are they even a unit? Like, I don't know. Are they a unit or a t-shirt?
Jeff Cobb said he's part of it, so whatever it is, Jeff Cobb
shows them.
Right. Which is, but I don't know what it is. Like, it's just this giant, like, to use a modern word from AEW, it's a giant conglomeration of guys that don't really have a whole lot in common.
Yeah. They are like the conglomeration before they came up with like the 90s sitcom gimmick. Right. It was like, this is just some dudes, you know? And they're not doing a fun bit about it, like just 5, 4, or 3 guys.
Yeah.
And just the fact that, you know, their formation was also the end of certainly the most iconic New Japan faction, one of the most iconic factions in all of wrestling, ended, and they're like, now it's this thing. And like they have the concept of Hantai, right? Like we have a nothing good guy group. So again, it's just like what are we doing with this unit right now? And you know, we've got 2 tag titles, 3 tag titles, and a 6-man title. So they need tight units to do things. Those aren't that interesting otherwise. So I'm interested to see if they can do something with Unbound Company.
I mean, I don't think they have an option. You know, we got a lot of shows. We got a lot of preview tags we got to do. And preview tags work best when there's some belts on the line, you know, especially that Never 6-man.
What did you guys think about Shun and Jeff Cobb as the new additions that came in during the G1?
I love Adam Skywalker for sure. I was really surprised at Cobb. Were you guys?
Yes, I was actually.
I was like, wow, I can't believe that this is where he's back. I'm glad he's back for sure. I enjoyed him in his first run.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't. To me, it just felt like what you do in life. You know, you went out and tried it out at a different company, didn't work out, and you go back where they like you.
That's true. Good
You
point.
know, I like Jeff Cobb. Jeff Cobb's like a great New Japan. He's like the ideal New Japan mid card guy. He never has a bad match. New Japan does a really good job of like big strong guy fights little guy tropes that he always. They need a third one, right? Like Hanare is in there, and Bolton Oleg is now out of that role and into like this main event role probably. So yeah, I was happy to see him back. I did kind of laugh when like he had to pick a unit. I was like, well, what did you pick about on the company?
Right.
I'm mad at the other guys, so I'm fucking unbound now.
Yeah. And Skywalker's great. No.
Oh, I think that is the story outside of anything to do with the tournament. Out of this tour is Shun in New Japan, and more importantly, Shun in House of Torture. And you know, like you said, Dean, earlier, I also, you know, I feel like we are in the large minority, but like I love House of Torture. I think you need something like that to make a place like New Japan, New Japan. I think people miss sight of that. And also they forget that it's always been an element of New Japan. Inoki had Tiger Jeet Singh, right? Like all these fucking guys. I mean, even All Japan. I mean, Baba had Abdullah and Bruiser Brody and I mean, this is an element of what wrestling is. And I love it. I love Shun as the shit disturber that he is. They are not missing a beat with it. It's not like he came out and felt inauthentic at all, which I was worried about because we knew that this was probable, but we were like, let's please make it Shun. Like a lot of people thought he was going to unmask. They thought he was going to come in as an unmasked wrestler, which would have been, ooh, thank God they didn't do that.
Totally agree. I mean, I thought the House of Torture, you know, sometimes doing the obvious thing is the right thing, and you just look at the guy and you're like, well, this guy should be in the creepy cheating group. So yeah, that made a lot of sense to me, for sure. So, you know, what do you got? Oh, so anyway, we got to go back. We haven't talked at all about Bolton Oleg, who's easily my favorite performer in the entire G1. Like I said, I grew to love the winners, but Bolton Oleg was one of those guys that I've been watching wrestle for years, and I was like, okay, here's Bolton Oleg. He'll do the kamikaze. It's fine. And then just decided that he was, you know, the second coming of Masala. Like I could not have loved his whole tournament more. What did you guys think?
Oh, he was a breath of fresh air for sure. It was. I really like watching him anyway, but his performances in this G1 were, I think he's only positioned to be moving way up the card. It feels to me like that's what they were setting him up for.
Yeah. I mean, he won the overall achievement award for the fan voting.
Yep, absolutely. That was really cool to see too. There was a couple guys that you could have included in that, you know, that probably came in second and third that could have challenged for that title. I like, but what I like about what they've done with him is that they've positioned him to be where I think he can challenge for a couple different belts.
Yep.
I could see him, you know, Intercontinental. I could see him for he's not never open weight champion, is he?
He's the current strong champion, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the strong
champion.
open weight champion. Yeah.
Strong open weight. Okay.
Chris, as the ultimate strong fan, I expected you to know that.
Yeah, but man, what's New Japan strong anymore?
That is something I wrote down, actually. What's going on with New Japan strong belts? What is happening?
They've just killed it.
Yeah, it's weird, man.
I mean,
New Japan strong was
AEW killed it, right? Like, what's having New Japan strong when you've got New Japan World and a company where you can watch them on free TV?
Yeah, you're right. But man, I do miss that 1 hour long show. It was awesome.
Wonderful. I mean, I miss any 1 hour wrestling show, but that was so much fun.
Yeah.
And it was such a way, like I learned about so many guys watching that you were not seeing when you were only watching the G1 and, you know, the big Kenny Omega pay-per-views or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, me and Oleg, I've loved Oleg Bolton since the beginning. I saw the vision with this dude when he was just getting his ass beat still, like right after he graduated. I was like, oh, cool. So a bigger, scarier Ishii clone. Got it. And I mean, they've basically went, yep, he's our guy that's going to take really disgusting bumps. And he is a great professional wrestler.
Yeah, I mean, he's good at everything. The emotion really came out. I mean, he was just all emotion this tournament,
Yeah.
you know, and in everything from like excitement and pain to, there was I'm writing like a final G1 thoughts thing right now. And I was rewatching the Yuto Ice match. It was the one where he stares at his hands at the end, like he's of the things he's had to do to win and whether they were worth it. And I was like, this is fucking great, man. This guy's really good at this. And I don't know if it's something about a Russian guy wearing turquoise. I was like, is there a little volcanishness in this man making me love it?
What a great analogy that is. Man, I hadn't even thought about that. So my most impressive was a tie. I had Bolton Oleg and I had Drilla Maloney.
Oh, yeah.
I loved Drilla Maloney.
Talk so much about Drilla.
Yeah, he was so impressive, especially in the early parts of this tournament. He led the whole thing coming, what were we, how many days in were we? And he was still in first place. I was like, well, this could be his tournament. I feel like he's another guy that they're getting ready that they could give the push to. That's what's so encouraging about coming out of this G1. It's like they have so many places they can go at the top of the card.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Drilla was one of those guys where it's always interesting when a guy goes from junior to heavy, because sometimes it's just nonsense and they're doing it because it's pushed. Sometimes you're like, what? Like the Young Bucks were heavy at the end of their run.
Yeah.
They're just kind of like, what exactly are we even doing with this? And Drilla in this tournament, I thought, really told that story. Because there were matches where he looked overmatched with some of the bigger guys. There were matches when he looked like, oh, he is now bigger than the juniors, and he's really good. And the really fun ones are matches when it's like, oh, he's combined this. Like, he's a big, strong guy, but he also can move quick and fly around, and that's what's going to make him great. And they're setting up the Drilla Killer as like a dynamite. Everybody who he got it to lost. And maybe it was just like Walker's enthusiasm on the call. But it was one of those things where the last 2 minutes, it was like the One-Winged Angel, where the whole match is like, all right, is he going to get this or not?
Yeah, man. I was blown away by Drilla. I was I think talking to you guys when I was like, okay, I'm gonna catch up on the G1, and it's during him and Gabe Kidd, and I look up and it's awesome, but it's like the normal awesome. I look down, I'm writing a little bit. I look up, double fucking juice. They're killing each other. They're hitting every secondary finisher in their repertoire, and I'm like, oh, it's going to be that kind of G1. I got it. And that's just the energy that Drilla had. And I'll say Gabe Kidd too. I think were there moments where I felt kind of like Gabe was off? Yeah, I don't feel that about Drilla necessarily. I feel like Drilla did the thing that Gabe probably didn't do, which was it didn't matter the opponent. He showed up every night and he did something compelling, and it wasn't the same note. That's probably what's most impressive to me about Drilla. And I feel like the sky is the limit for a guy like him.
Yeah, I would have had no problem believing he was going to win, like Chris said. So did you guys not like Gabe Kidd in this tournament?
I love Gabe Kidd.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love him, but I do think there were a couple of performances that I was like, for whatever reason.
Character work, like he was dismissive of this bullshit, or actually bad?
Mainly that. Yeah. I think that with Gabe Kidd, there's sometimes where he's like puffing and he's being like real macho, but his body language doesn't speak that to you. And you're very like, all right, I think you're selling, but you're actually kind of like, you're being a little too vulnerable. I think that he's like here's how I would put Gabe Kidd. He rules. he's great. And he's definitely a great promo. And I don't think he gets enough credit for his just chaotic, fucking, profanity laden promos. I think they're tremendous. However, I think he's got a little bit of that like oversell issue where sometimes I'm like, all right, brother, I got you. Maybe rein that back a little bit. But maybe that's a me thing.
Well, I agree with you on that, Corey. Just simply like I can point to one example in the past, his match with Kenny Omega that got like all the praise that it really deserved. It lost a little bit with me just because I felt like he oversold in that match in a couple spots.
Yep.
That just made it feel like, oh shit, it's Gabe has a tendency to do that. But he's just such a compelling guy. Especially if you kind of know his history. It's like I want to cheer for him,
Totally. I'm going to offer a counterpoint, but first, the guy's just an insane promo. I mean, the first time I ever really paid attention to him, it was one of the LA shows 2 or 3 years ago, and there was clips of him on like Good Morning LA calling all the Americans fat losers, and I was like, "This is great, man! Like, what a good forward heel. You know exactly how to do this. It's so wonderful."
Yeah.
I certainly agree. There's times he's overselling, and that is just bad work. There are times though I like the overselling because it gives me that feeling of like a Ric Flair, that giant change, right? Like this is the cockiest man alive, but then when he gets beat up, he is fully kind of a weak coward. And Gabe's not doing like the pleading, but there are a couple of points when I was like, oh, there's actually very satisfying traditional character work where he's being a dickhead, and then somebody socks him in the mouth, and he's laying on the ground, and he looks confused and sad. And I'm like, that's good. That's what you want. That's kind of what you want to see in this. And I think there are points when I definitely saw what you guys saw, but parts of me kind of liked that because I think it goes to show. It also makes me respect a worker because one of those guys who Gabe Kidd just seems like a guy who's not going to do jobs for people, but you can tell no, this dude's just a pro. Everything he's doing is his act, and it includes the overselling that kind of shows that he's really not all he thinks he is.
He was if you ever want to see the evolution of Gabe Kidd, go back to New Japan Strong and his match with Fred Rosser. Where
you not to ask me twice to watch a Gabe Kidd Fred Rosser match.
Dear God, it is incredible. The Fred Rosser's eardrum gets busted open and bleeds profusely in this match. It's an incredible match.
Yeah, I gotta watch it. Do you guys think the Strong and Never belts should stick around, or are we done with those?
I think they could.
Yeah.
But
I don't know, man. It's probably time to get rid of one of them.
Yeah. My thing would be you'd have to do. I mean, it's almost like some of them would have to just be admittedly like secondary tour stop belts, how Mexico does it. That's the only way you could really do it.
Yeah. And that's the way they've mostly felt. The most interested I ever was in the Strong title was when it was one of 3 titles Eddie Kingston had. And I was like,
oh, okay. Yep.
And there is certainly, I'll look at that title history sometimes and be like, when was this? I do not remember this person ever. Like Jeff Cobb had this title for 6 months. So yeah, I mean, normally I would say it might be a little bit too much, but like you guys were saying, the talent is so good right now. It gives them such an opportunity to actually make all of these belts feel relevant. I mean, the global has never really, like the Intercontinental felt like a huge deal. The USA felt like a huge deal. And the global was basically the David Finlay, like we're really trying to make you want this Bullet Club leader to be Jay White, and didn't go anywhere. But now I'm like, yeah, if the global is going to be, Gabe Kidd versus Drilla or Drilla versus Bolton Oleg, and the Strong is Yuto Ice versus another one of these guys that we adore, and the top of the card is Yuya Noiwa and Suji, like that's phenomenal. That makes me be genuinely excited to watch some of these mid-card matches. And I think that's a great thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I just can't believe. I was just sitting here thinking that in late March, I canceled my subscription to New Japan World because I thought I don't need to watch this company anymore. And now I'm so energized for this company, I can't imagine not watching it. And it's just like you say, Dean, because of all of this young talent.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm just so I am completely enamored with where they're going with this story for the rest of the year, and I cannot wait to Wrestle Kingdom.
I agree. I want to talk about the future for these guys and the Dome, but I'm curious. So we've got almost the full Destruction and Kobe card, so that'll be a big thing. So I'm curious if you guys want to be looked at it. Yeah. Initial thoughts. I've got it open now. You know, your first singles title is the Takeshita Shun Skywalker, which is going to be unbelievable. Like, when was the last time you were this excited for a TV championship? Another belt I forget they have all the time.
It's been forever, man. I mean, I think Takeshita with that belt, you know, him and ELP were both great champions. Obviously, Zack Sabre was the standard of that. And I love the idea of a TV title. I always have, you know, like a quick little fun match. It doesn't overstay its welcome. I think Shun is a great part of that. And I really think this could be a title change.
I agree, because I just assume Takeshita is going to be busy on AEW again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely expect this to be a title change. And Skywalker is a great option for that. And I mean, that I have not like studied the Destruction card. I can't wait to go over it with you guys. This sounds like if that's the first title match, what else we got?
Yeah.
So another great thing about this G1, like we said, with so much talent, 2 singles matches, no titles on the line, but the storylines are just wonderful. One, Drill Maloney, Gabe Kidd.
Oh, amazing.
I'm like, that could main event a show. And Jeff Cobb, Callum Newman, you know, the United Empire betrayal match.
Yeah, that's insane.
God. That's going to be great.
There's a bit of a confusing 6-man here. It's confusing as much as like, why is this happening? And it's disappointing because the 2 guys do not have singles matches. So the 6-man is Taichi Yuya and Aaron Wolf versus Fujita, Sabre, and Oiwa, which is like, I like everybody in that, but
wow,
you're making me wait 40 days for the next show, and I'm not going to see the 2 guys that I just fell in love with fight anybody.
That's strange, but that's New Japan as well for you.
Yeah.
So,
and then the championship match announced right now is Goto Suji, which is a rematch that Goto won, of course, during the G1.
Unbelievable. One of my favorite matches too. And I like it too, because they, you know, almost kind of a fun little byproduct of making Suji so weak is this title match does feel like, I mean, I don't think it's crazy that they put another run on Goto and maybe he's the drop. I mean, at this point, anything New Japan does, I am absolutely like, okay, I can see it.
Yeah, I mean, they are, at this point, they make so many swerves. Like, it worked out so well, but putting the belt on Callum Newman is like an insane choice, right? Like, this is like a kind of mid-card guy who's super young, who nobody thought was going to do this. And 5 months after the huge Tokyo Dome coronation, your big star loses. And it worked out. So, yeah, I mean, like, to me, it seems the obvious booking here is like, okay, so Suji can't lose till the Dome or till King of Pro Wrestling. So you give him this, everybody wants to see Goto. You get this great match. Everyone's happy, even though they know it's not going to be a title change. But yeah, somehow Goto goes into the Dome with the title. Nothing would surprise me in this company. Chris, what do you think?
Well, I totally think that with that match, I'm going to go ahead and say that I think Goto is going to win it.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
There we go.
I really do. I just think that could very well be the way to put the belt on whoever they decide to put the belt on at Wrestle Kingdom, is to take it off of Goto.
I wouldn't be mad.
Yeah.
I would not be mad at all.
And before we talk about the Dome, just looking at the blocks, the one person we didn't really talk about, and someone I love in this tournament, was Sonata, who I also thought could potentially win this thing. I thought Sonata was great. It was the best, in my opinion, that he's been since his title run. I also thought he had an interesting character. Clearly, he wrestled most of the matches as a non-House of Torture heel. He had kind of the one big guitar spot, but it was clear that there was some he wasn't quite sure if he wanted to do it or not. I would say it seems fairly obvious to me that with Shun coming in, Sonata's going to be out of the house and back as a tweener or a face. And I thought almost every one of his matches was phenomenal. And I don't know, he is the kind of guy that maybe can pull off a fedora because everything he does looks cool. Sometimes he's just standing there, and I'm like, it looks like he's posing, but he's not doing anything. He's so great.
So everybody has that wrestler, right, that people love and you don't get it.
That's you with Sonata?
That's me with Sonata. I just don't get it. I've never connected with him, and I don't get it. Like, I can literally never watch a Sonata match again, and I wouldn't miss it. So it's weird.
I have a secondary question that might explain this. What's your thoughts on Muto?
Well, so I kind of feel the same way.
There we go. See, that's the issue, because let's be real. What Sonata is a Muto clone.
Yeah.
I love Sonata, and I love Muto. Like, I got one of his figures back here. I got an 89 Muto that spits from the Superstars line. Okay. I'm a huge Muto guy. However, he does seem to be kind of one of those flavors of wrestling that you either get or you just don't.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't want to say sacrilege to your hero, but to me, he's Muto, but cool. Like, he's,
sure.
he's and it's one of those things where, like, Sonata comes out to the ring and he's laconic and he kind of doesn't look like he wants to be there. And I'm like, he's what a badass. And then Naito does it, and I'm like, I fucking despise this man. So it's just it's like, yeah, who you connect with, you never totally makes sense. I also just loved he did a Shining Wizard in every match, and every time it looked a little bit different. And I love a move that looks like it's not a wrestling move. It looked like a guy who's like, oh, I've got to throw my crotch at you right now. It's all I've got in me. And every time he did it, I popped for it.
I'm a big fan as well of the crotch attack. big fan.
So where do you guys think we'll be in 6 months at the Dome?
We kind of already sort of said, and I think we all agree, like, maybe Goto does end up there. But then it's hard to think about Oiwa not finishing the story here.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like do we end up at the Dome with Oya with the title, or is he got the belt before? That's really kind of where I am conflicted.
Well, let me ask you another question then that I don't have the answer to, which is where's Yuya going here?
Right.
He does not have a match at Destruction. He's in the 6-man. He does not have a title shot. He has no reasonable path to the Dome, right? There's no reason besides being a G1 finalist that he would be like, there's other guys who've been the champ. There's other guys who have been previous champs. But that being said, Chris sold me on the guy. Now all I want to do is see more of him. I have no idea where he's going to be. So what do you want to see as a path for him?
So, man, I want to see. I come out of the G1. Like I said in the thing that I wrote on Substack, I didn't care who won when the finals rolled around. But when Oiwa won it, I was like, now I want to see him go all the way and finish the story. But that does leave Yuya in a tough spot, because what belt would he challenge for?
Yeah,
right.
Does
where does he go? I mean, he's in a 6-man. Is that what you said at Destruction? Is that right?
Yeah. An Unbound Company 6-man.
Oh, that's going to be.
It's the Unbound Company TMDK 6-man, I believe.
Yeah. The blood feud.
Finally, it'll be settled. No doubt in Atlanta. Do you think one of them needs to turn heel for there to be like a dynamic?
Who turns heel though? That's the thing. Because Oiwa winning was such a beautiful thing. Does he go heel? Because I just don't see Uemura as a heel.
I agree. He's got such face superhero energy, and all the things about him that kind of annoyed me, the kind of just like bland good guy. I now have seen the dynamism, and seen how good it is. And Iowa, looks like a heel to me, right? Like he's kind of mean. He's in a vaguely tweenerish group. So yeah, it would seem to me he's the logical one, and there's no reason you can't just push a heel champion for the next year. People like it, and it's New Japan, so it's not like he's going to be a House of Torture heel. He could be a heel,
right?
Yeah, but I don't know. It feels like having two guys who are, while they wrestle very different, are extremely similar. Like same age, same dojo class, both of them kind of like generic face characters, even though there's a lot more to them. The big one of the big compliments of the G1 finals, well, they wrestled exactly the same. They both wrestle like each other. So at some point, there's got to be a distinction, or it becomes one of them gets wasted, right? Like one of them is, it's Yuya challenging for the never open weight title, and it's cool and all, but it's not the big gold belt.
Does it kind of feel like, in my opinion, you had Okada, Tanahashi, and you always kind of had Naito sort of hanging out for a while. He was never the top guy until one of them was clearly past their prime. Do you kind of see that with it, that one of these guys possibly winding up in that role?
Yeah, I think something's got to give, because I think Shota, they've already kind of decided they're leveling up. So one of them's got to basically fall into third at this point.
But they don't have to level up Shota. They can stop,
I know.
Regroup. And please regroup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the problem with, you don't have TV, you have preview tags that most people don't watch. So it's not like you can do, we have 5 guys between Royal Rumble to WrestleMania season all competing and we're excited about it. You kind of got to pick some guys. There's only going to be 3-4 shows that people are watching between now and the Dome. So you can't really make a, every one of these 5-6 guys is in the hunt storyline. You just don't have the time. So the other thing they could do is try to make the global as big as the heavyweight. And there's no reason. I have no idea what these belts mean anymore. They've changed all of them so many times. Last year, Tsuji said that they were together and reunited, and now they're separate again. So there's no reason why you could not have a double main event that's Oiwa, Newman, and Yuya Shota, for instance, and both of the belts are functionally equal.
Let me throw a wrench in that gear, though, because when I think about the Dome, there's one match that I feel like everyone's forgetting. And to me, I think Callum Newman, Will Ospreay happens.
Oh, yes. That is a very good point.
So that takes him off the board.
Do you think that happens this year?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. United Empire is going to be on Dynamite in 10 minutes. They've been pulling up the Will doesn't like the heel turn stuff. And listen, Corey just made the best booking decision, right? You got to do something cool with Callum. And that's cool. That's the money match that has no belts involved and everybody will be excited for, and actually has a really interesting long-term story.
And the other one that you guys brought up, that to me takes Tsuji out of it, is Kid at the Dome. Tsuji versus Kid. I could totally see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Again, the story's there, right? Kid despises New Japan. Tsuji despises AEW. It's a very easy, foreign heel shtick that you can pull off. Everybody would go wild for, and would be a great match because they're both phenomenal wrestlers.
For sure. I think it's a rare issue with New Japan as of late in the last 2-3 years, which is you actually have too many choices this year.
Yeah.
You got too many angles you could do here. You got to decide, which is a good problem to have in August.
It's so shocking. I've been a watcher. It takes me a lot to stop watching something, but I was in the same place Chris was 6 months ago. I should have canceled. I was watching it and not enjoying anything. And it felt like, oh man, there's nothing. This company's got no shot. They have 3 young musketeers. All of them are kind of going nowhere. It's a bunch of weird older guys. All their stars left. Their biggest star is Takeshita somehow. And now I'm like, this is the hottest company I've ever seen. I can't think of, this feels like month 3 of AEW or something. And I was like, wow, Jesus, all these guys are in the same promotion. Like AEW when Punk and Danielson showed up, and I was like, what are they going to do? They only have so much TV.
Right. That's exactly what this feels like. Is that moment in AEW where you were like, I don't even know how the hell they're going to book themselves into this.
Yeah.
And the New Japan's in the same position right now in such a interesting way with guys that were so much younger than Danielson and Punk. And this is a problem this is a good problem for them to have, but it's going to be one they have for many, many years if they play their cards right.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we could be in year 1 of like a 20-year run of incredible wrestling. I mean, I don't know. Well,
God, I hope so.
I mean, I think Suji's over 30. The rest of Kelvin's 23 years old, which is insane.
Right.
I know.
The other 2 are in their mid-20s. I don't think Bolton Oleg's he's like 32, 33. Like, none of these guys are anywhere close. And a couple of years ago, it was like, all right, I don't like Naito, but they got to use him. Who else is going to be in there?
I mean, somebody in 99 thought Tanahashi wasn't going to make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Good point.
You just don't know.
Yeah.
You really don't. And sometimes it is, I'm going to make a comparison that I don't know if anybody's made yet in the world, which is that Yuya and Oiwa, for me, are like Roman Reigns. They made me sit through it until I liked it. And
I don't think that's bad.
I
think it's great.
It was a much shorter time period, but I was sitting there poo-pooing these guys, and then I was like, well, I'm going to watch the show no matter what. And again, thankfully, 2 brilliant wrestling minds here were also telling me, but I was like, yeah, I just needed done. I too booed Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble right here in Philadelphia, and then I liked him later on, and I feel the exact same way. They made me stick to it, and it was a good choice that they made me stick to it.
Well, Dean, I think it's what's been fun is for us in our chats and such is watching you sort of build the cocoon around you of not wanting to like Yuya and Oiwa, and then like now you've come out of the cocoon, you've spread your wings, you're a beautiful butterfly who has accepted these guys for who they are.
Yes.
I'm fucking happy at it, man. I'm just cannot wait to see these 2. It is, I have headlock fever, It's
Yeah, man, who'd have thought, right? Like when they started using the Boston Crab this year, and showing that matches could be won with moves that hadn't been, threats in many years, I would have never thought we'd get to a headlock being so damn important to a story.
Yeah.
It broke Dave Meltzer's brain. It was so good.
It did, and it was the answer to Ospreyism that we've all been wondering, which is just all right, at some point, you're going to be able to jump 30 feet in the air and do 1,000 flips, and I'll freak out the first time, and then I'll be like, I saw that. And this is the answer, that you can just wrestle with emotion and talent. And, it's not like the headlock is cool. Those wrestlers were cool. That could have been whatever, like an arm, like a wrist hold. And it was cool because he made it cool. He did it in an interesting way, and we were bought in on the guys. And it's such a path forward that isn't just like, well, how much, like we can end the way we started, which is like, all right, well, at some point, either I'm going to get bored with deathmatch wrestling or someone's going to be murdered. There's only so much you can do.
Right. Yeah. Just a great way to kind of bring it back full circle is how a headlock in 2026 is as dangerous as a cinder block in a death match.
Yeah. The only thing that might be more dangerous than a headlock from Oiwa right now is the Slade throw a bushel of fucking light tubes at your face. I don't know that anyone can beat that one, but
yeah, I don't know. That remains to be seen.
And a final thing on Oiwa and the whole thing. Corey's close personal friend, Walker Stewart, was phenomenal.
Yes, very personal.
Chris Charlton is so good. And it's one of those points. Like, there was a moment when he had the headlock on, and Chris Charlton screaming he's going to decapitate him, and I was like, I think he might.
Yes.
Good commentary can really take you a long way, and those guys are two of the absolute best.
I love Walker Stewart so much. So I was watching the playoff show of the Stardom's playoff show today, and Walker did the commentary for it. And man, he's one of a kind. There's nobody like him that can just go from New Japan to produce to Stardom, and he knows all the stories, and he knows how to draw you into all the stories. It's incredible to watch him work.
And there's no gimmick at all. He's just a dynamic broadcaster. He's just really good at what he could call college basketball and he'd be good at it. Like, he's just he's just good.
Yeah, I think I'd kind of like to hear him, call a college football game.
Yeah.
Oh, he'd be amazing.
Oh my God, he'd be phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy is, he's just the voice is perfect, everything about him. And I
hope nobody ever hires him to do that, because we got to keep him in pro wrestling.
He's busy, man. We need him for everything.
He's so busy. Jeez, man.
Where does he live in the South, Corey? Like, is he just what is his airline miles like for Walker Stewart?
Dude, it's got to be insane. And that guy, like, as far as I can tell, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here. Like, he is like the boys. Like, he shows up to Japan, he's there a while. Like, he's there.
Yeah.
I think he's there till like October or something crazy.
He's the only person on every G1 show.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does
it all.
He was so good. And does he still live in Oklahoma? Do you know?
I believe so. Yeah. I think he still lives in Oklahoma.
Home of great wrestling broadcasters.
Absolutely. Like, how old was he when he broke in? Was he 20, 21?
Yeah, it had to be. Yeah. He's been around a little bit, but not too long.
Yeah. It's not in the voice, but in the presentation, he reminds me a little bit of Gordon Soley, because he's calling it like sports for the most part. And I love that. And there's, again, no shtick or gimmick, just like a dude who can do this job well.
To me right now, there are three great regular broadcasters, because I think Dave Bradshaw's like right up there, but he's kind of, he's had health issues and stuff. I kind of don't consider him, just because his schedule's a little crazy. But to me right now, it's Walker, it's Met DeMasi in WXW, and it's Rob Weathers in the Southeast. Those three right now, at least English broadcasters, are the best of the best. They're very similar in the way that they call it, but they can pivot and change the mood and sort of go with the flow a lot more than a lot of people out there that just sort of like carnival bark. I don't know what's going on the independents, but like, come on, don't just give your buddy a commentary job, please.
No love for Ian Riccaboni.
Ian Riccaboni, of course, but I was thinking like more independent.
Okay,
yeah. Ian, yeah, of course.
Oh, Ian's incredible, but I rarely watch ROH anymore.
I know, I got to get back in.
There's a show this Friday that I think I'm going to go ahead and subscribe again so I can watch it.
Yeah,
it's worth it for that archive too.
Totally. Yeah. I got to start wrapping up, and you can end the recording to say this, but do you guys? The Death Before Dishonor card looks good. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, looks really, really super good.
I'm looking forward to that Athena match.
Yeah, and Nigel McGuinness, wrestling for the Pure.
Absolutely.
Again.
Yeah.
And like, I think Lee Moriarty is like the best wrestler on planet Earth right now, probably.
So good.
Nobody knows it. That's the bummer.
Yeah.
And the fact that he can do what he does with the shoot stuff and then appear in a heel stable doing like dumb pro wrestling shit with the, and with like the what's the Harriet Tubman related move thing? Like he can do it all. He's great. And then he's like a painter.
Yeah, man. Many layers to him. Same with Walker Stewart, by the way, a guy that studied classical music in college, by the way. A lot of people probably don't know that.
I saw that in the text, and I'm like, that's phenomenal. I got to talk to him about this.
Yeah, tremendous.
I'd love to act like I knew that before I saw that the other night, but no, I did not.
I didn't either. Trust me.
That's just, yeah. That's what pro wrestling has. That people who are on the outside who hear like, "Oh, you like pro wrestling," what they don't understand are the layers, right? It's hard to get somebody into it if the only thing that they really know is what's on Monday night and Friday night, Tuesday nights. Like I don't know how a new fan could come in. I don't know how WWE is garnering a new audience. Do you guys think that that's even a possibility?
No,
today?
I don't think they care about it.
I mean, I don't understand how you can become a new wrestling fan who's not a sicko. Like, it's so wonderful.
Yeah.
Like, see one match, and then you make a friend and go on Cage Match, and you're like, oh my God, this is the coolest world. Yeah, I can't imagine being a guy who just tunes into WWE and enjoys that experience without being one of these like weird guys who's like obsessed with defending everything they do.
Yeah, it's a bizarre thought, because I know absolutely nobody in my life, not a single person who tunes in, in my circle of personal relationships, who tunes in every week to Raw and admits it.
Yeah.
Now, Dean, I know you do.
Yeah, it was bad.
But I'm talking about like in my of my friends, my work relationships, nobody. And so like I'm like, how many people are honestly watching this show?
I'm doing this podcast with you guys, but if I was at a party and I met a guy and he's like, "Oh, I watch Raw," I'm a loser.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to talk to him.
Talk to him about that. That's kind of lame.
Yeah. The only wrestling I know is Raw.
Oh God, kill me now.
I also am fascinated by what the experience of watching AEW is for just like people, because it's so steeped in the history and the indies and the sickodom. Yeah. And I just don't know if people, like, if you live in the city where Death Before Dishonor is on and you show up and you see Hazuki, like, do you care?
Right. Probably not. Right. But maybe it's like the gateway drug, right? Because we all have those wrestling gateway drugs. There was something that made us dig a little deeper, right?
Yeah.
It reminds me, I think it was Dean Rasmussen. So great company there. It was an old podcast from like 2009 that all the DVD-VR guys were on. And of course, I'm psycho. So I find this. This is like a year ago when I got really deep into this stuff and started, contributing and all that good stuff. And I just remember he had a great thing that he said. Somebody came into the chat and it was one of those old blog talk radio, like in and out, just everybody from the board. And this guy was like, Dean, I'm sorry, but I watched Raw tonight. And I thought Dean said a beautiful thing where he said, nah, brother, we need people in the trenches everywhere. Like, we're not going to get the full scope of the business unless some of you watch trash. And I thought that was beautiful. And I thought that was a great way to look at it. And ever since I heard that was kind of the way I look at wrestling. I don't worry about trying to watch it all. I try, but if I don't stress, because now I know guys like Chris and Dean are watching it. And it's like, oh, thank God. And they'll tell me if it's worth something.
Yeah. And I do feel like, as stupid as this is for a dumb hobby that I have, I'm like, I got to do my duty. Someone's got to watch this shit. Someone's got to write about it sometimes. Someone's got to talk about it. And some of it's masochism, and some of it's convenience. Like I have a Netflix subscription and an iPad, and it's 10:05, and I can flip it on and see, what's going on. And listen, this Monday's show was like 5 lucha matches. It was quite. There were some cool things going on. They're doing a tournament of AAA luchadors for who has to face Roman Reigns at Arena Mexico, or not Arena Mexico, in Mexico. And it's cool, man. There's
on a AAA show.
Yeah, on AAA show, the big whatever.
Wow.
The next big one is, if it's
Ray
to Ray or Triple Mania, probably. Yeah, Roman Reigns is going to be there, and there's a tournament. One of the
you're gonna talk me into watching some of this shit.
I will curate for you.
And there we go.
And only watching it. And also, it's the Fed, man. You have 6 minutes.
Yeah,
that's a great.
You're not committing.
You've
right,
piqued my curiosity. It's incredible.
I'll send you the field later. You're going to look at it and be like, that's an interesting group of wrestlers.
Yep.
All right, but with that, I have to finish. So
Absolutely. I got to feed the wife as well,
Yep.
so I'm with you.
Yep. As you can see, I'm in an office. It's time to get out of here and go do some
Yes,
stuff.
sir.
All right, guys.
right.
Guys, it was great talking to you.
Yeah, this was great.
Love talking
Talk
to
to
you
you
guys,
soon.
man.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. See you.
Oh, yeah.